account. All right. So we are dealing now with conjunctions. When we talk about conjunctions, children, they are just joining words, right? They join the subject to the object. They join phrases with clauses, phrases with phrases, right? So that is what conjunctions do. So there are many of them. Now, what we'll do is we'll focus on the ones that are important to us with respect to the examination. Okay. Now, if I look at a conjunction like although, okay, let's take although. ALTHOUGH. In Hindi, although it's called halaki. La. Halaki, small thing, whatever. Right. So, so although is halaki, right? So it means, for example, it means, it gives us a contrary situation. So if I say, although it rained, they played. They played football. FOOTBALL. हालांकि बारिश हो रही थी फिर भी उन्होंने फुटबॉल खेला. Although it rained, हालांकि बारिश हुई थी फिर भी वो खेल रहे थे. Right? So although it rained, they played football. Okay. Now, another conjunction which I'm going to take with although is because. Because gives us a reason. The word because, it gives us a reason for something. All right. So because gives us a reason. Kyunki. Right. So let's say I didn't play because I was tired. Because I was tired. Right? The reason for my not playing was that I was tired. And although was contrary, right? It gave us an opposite situation. Although it rained, they played football. Now, the same thing happens with in spite of and despite. Now remember how we write in spite of. These are three different words. In spite of, right? And another one is despite. They have the same meaning, right? In spite of the rain, comma, we played. इसके बावजूद कि बारिश हो रही थी हमने खेला. Right? Despite is the same as in spite of, right? Now, the only thing with despite that you have to remember is that you do not use an of. You cannot say despite of. That will be wrong. Okay, don't use despite of. This of is not to be used. So despite, right? So I went there despite my mom telling me not to go. Telling me not to go. So my mom told me not to go. Despite that, I went there, right? So that is what you have to remember that. Now, this is clear to everyone, in spite of and despite.
Yes, sir.
Right. One thing you should remember, children, never use although with a but. That will be wrong. You cannot say although he is small, but he can fight a giant. This will be wrong. And you know why? Because of this but. All right. So although and but are not to be used in the same sentence. The next preposition that I'm going to take now, as. As can also be used like because. It is also used to give a reason. Right? I didn't come to school as I was ill. As. And also as is used for time. As is used also for time. I washed her as she opened the letter. So while she was opening the letter, as is also used like while, right? So as she opened the letter, I watched her. जैसे वो चिट्ठी खोल रही थी, मैं उसको देख रहा था, right? So that is what it is. Vivan arrived as Niyati left. जैसे Niyati गई, Vivan आ गया. You know, that is something like that. Okay. So while, when, as, they can also be used to denote time. Now, when we talk about another set of prepositions, that is like and as. Like means similar to, and it also means the same as. Okay. What a beautiful house. It is like a palace. Right? Similar to a palace. What does Swati ma'am do? She is a teacher like me. So she does the same thing which I do in the same profession, right? So that is what like can do. Like can also be used as to show, for example. For example. So, for example, some food like cabbage is high in fiber, right? So, for example, as cabbage, like cabbage, right? So, like can be used like this. Now, what about as? I was telling you like and as are similar. So, where do we use that as? We use as and not like. Not like before a subject and a verb. Subject plus verb. Verb is an action word, subject is the doer of the action, right? So, for example, they did as they promised, not like they promised. They did as they promised, not like. Remember this, right? They is the subject, did is the verb, and here you will use as, not like. Okay, just remember this. All right, great. Okay. Hmm. During and while is for time, right? Until again is for time, right? So during, while is for time, right? During the class, no one should be sleeping. While the class is going on, no one should sleep, right? Until. Now, don't get confused between until and till. They mean the same thing. Till is the informal word for until. In Olympiads in Indian English, we use till a lot instead of until. Right? Until is proper English, right? But in Indian colloquial languages, we use until, till a lot. So don't get confused, right? So until it gets dark, you are allowed to play. So as soon as it gets dark, you have to be inside the door, right? That is what it means. Now, something, children, which is very, very interesting for you is at, on, in when we talk about time. This is something which you should remember. They arrived at 7 o'clock. And when you write o'clock, always remember there's a apostrophe over here because it's the abbreviation of off. Right? They arrived at 7 o'clock, precise time. Okay. They arrived on Friday, right? On a particular day. They arrived in June, in the month. In a month, on a day, at a time. Just remember this. Right? So, what would you say? On midnight, at midnight?
At midnight.
At midnight.
Right.
What will you say on 12th March 1991 or at 12th March 1991?
On 12th March.
On 12th March.
On 12th March
1991. On a day, I said.
Yes.
Please, on a date. Don't say without thinking. On a day, on 1st June. On 1st June 1977, Nishant sir was born. Right? So, 1st June, on. Okay? In Nishant sir was born on 1st June, but he was born in 1977. Just remember, in a year, in a month, in June, right? But when you are using the date first, you have to use on. Just remember this. In the past, in the future, at night, at the weekends, right? At weekends. That is all British, right? So in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. Just remember this. On Friday, on Sunday afternoon, on Monday evening. Okay, now this is something which Aditi Belwal needs to answer. I will meet you on next Sunday, Aditi. Am I right in this, beta? Aditi Belwal only to answer.
Yeah. No, yes, sir.
No, we are not right. This is wrong, Aditi. Whenever we use next, okay, last, or this, we do not use anything. We do not use anything. Please listen to me. You will not say, I will meet you at next Sunday. You will say, I will meet you next Sunday. I will meet you this Monday, Gunveer. I'll pull your ears this Monday, Gunveer. I'll meet you next Sunday.
Next Sunday.
Last Sunday, I had dinner outside. Okay, so just remember this. This is very, very important, right? Now, there is something called on time and in time. 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 When we talk about on time, we are talking about being punctual and not late. We are talking about being punctual and not late. Right? So if I say the train left on time, that means at right time. The train left, there has to be a gap here. Sorry. The train left on time. Right? When we talk about in time, you know, it means just soon enough. It means soon enough. Right? For example, I have ordered a gift for Aditi on her birthday. I hope it arrives in time. मतलब उसके बर्थडे तक आ जाना चाहिए, in time, not on time. Okay, that is what it means. And in time is just there being in time. I hope I reach home soon, so you know, to see the football match. So I would say I want to get home in time, you know, in a comfortable way, right? In time. So just remember that. So in time is just there in a hurry. I was on the platform in time, just enough to catch the train. I was on time means I was there punctual. Right? In time means harbadi mein bhagte bhagte I just reached and I was just there in time soon enough so that the train I did not miss the train. Okay. Also remember, there is something called at the end and in the end, right? So when we talk about at the end, right, we say when something ends. So at the end, can we use at the end of the month, right? At the end of January, a month, name of the month, at the end of the match, at the end of the concert, right? So this is all at the end of the film, right? I'm going away at the end of December, right? And all the players shook hands at the end of the match, right? So you cannot say in the end of something. You will not say in the end of January. You'll say at the end of the match or in the end at the end of January, at the beginning of January, right? So that is something which it means. Now, when we talk about in the end, when we talk about in the end, we are talking about something which happens finally. Which happens finally. So it's like Vidisha and Aparajita fought, but in the end they were friends. Right? Finally they were friends, although they were fighting. Right? So it means finally. Right? So far so good with conjunctions. Right? Let me ask you some questions and you just try answering them. Your options are since, for, because, if. I were a bird, I would fly high. Dash, I were a bird, I would fly high. Since, because, for, if. If. Great. Okay.
The if.
Great. Now, okay. Once I say okay, just focus. Dash Kapil ran fast. He could not catch the train. Still, whether, although, so.
Although.
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 Yeah, right. I like dash tea. I like dash tea nor coffee. Either, neither, while both.
Neither.
Neither. Who's this neither? Neither, all American. Who's the neither one here in this class? Neither. Okay. Okay. So I think you can do the prepositions, you can do the conjunctions on your own now, right? Just do the chapter, very interesting. So now I am going on to, we have done conjunctions, we have done this, adjectives, etc. You know, adjectives are describing words, right? So that you can do, you must have done chapters on them. Something very important, which I'm going to talk about now, is voices and narration. Narration. Right. Now, there are two kinds of voices that we talk about, right? Active and passive. So active voice and passive voice. Whose microphone is on, please? It's making a lot of noise, breathing heavily. Priyanshi Pathak, your microphone is on, please. Thank you, Priyanshi Pathak. Okay. If I say, my grandfather built this house in 1930. Right? This is active voice. This is active voice. Now, if I change the voice to passive, I would write it like, this house was built by my grandfather in 1930. So see, you must have seen one thing when we are doing active and passive voice, the subject is changing. Here, the doer of the action, my grandfather built this house, he's the doer. And here, although the action is not, although the action subject is not changing, but the focus, the spotlight is changing. So here the spotlight actually is on the house, right? That is where the spotlight is. And here the spotlight is on my grandfather, right? So this is how you change the voices and the narration, right? So, for example, if I say, you have to identify whether it's active voice or passive voice. It employs 200 people. Yes, Vivan. Active, passive?
Sir, active?
Active, definitely. Can you change it into passive?
Sir, 200 people are employed through it.
By it. 200 people are employed by it. Right? So remember this, children. This is passive. So what is happening? What I'm doing is the object in this sentence, 200 people, actually is being turned into a subject in the passive voice. That is what I'm doing. The focus of the spotlight is moving. I shouldn't actually be saying the subject is being turned, but just for you to understand, that's what I'm saying. right? So the focus of the sentence is changing. All right. So this is something which you do with voices. Okay. Uh, let's say, Niyati, this one is for you. Niyati cleans her room every day. Hmm. Active, passive first.
Active.
Active. Can you change it into passive, my dear?
Mm, So, Niyati's room is cleaned by her every day.
Okay, very good. Niyati's, very good, Niyati. Niyati's room is cleaned by her every day. This is a passive voice. Okay, so this is what happens with active and passive voice children. I hope this is clear now, right? The tense also changes. It becomes the past tense when you're changing it into passive. But you need to have the, we need to have the subject and the action there, right? Okay, I'm going to give a tough one now. Let me see who does this. I don't like people telling me what to do. Can somebody change this? You can type in your answers if you want, or you can say only. That's okay. I don't like people telling me what to do. All my English champions, Aisha, Ishani, Niyati, Vivan. Jia's not here to relate. It's a tough one. This is active, right? No, 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 Aisha, no. Think more. Who is not liking? I'm not liking. Who is telling? People are telling. Now change the focus of the sentence. No. And change the sentence. Change the tense. Hardik, you are somewhere there. Your grammatical construction is wrong, but you are somewhere there. No, Saranj. No, Manik. You may not want to get people. See, you can remove the one of the subjects all. No, Aishani, no, no, think more. It's a difficult one. It's not be asked in Olympiads, I know. Hardik, still some thing, no, Niyati, no, Jasraj. Hardik, you're there, I'm saying, but a little grammatical construction. Hardik has written to me, I don't like to be told by people that what to do. Hardik, you can make the sentence grammatically perfect. See, the answer would be, I don't like being told. You want to use by people, you can use by people. You can remove by people also, right? The second subject can be removed. I don't like being told by people what to do. This is the better sentence would be, I don't like being told what to do. What to do. This also can be written like this, right? So I don't like being told. So that is how it changes. It was a difficult one, right? Abdullah, think what you are writing. Okay, so this is something which is very, very important, right? Now, if I say Priyanshi is said to sleep 16 hours a day, is it active or passive?
Sir, active.
Are you even listening and just shouting? Gunveer Singh, you are creating a flutter here without even thinking. Priyanshi, yes, Hardik, it's passive. Priyanshi is said to sleep 16 hours a day. The present tense changes to the past tense when we talk about passive voice. Please think before you answer, children. In the Olympiad exam, do not be in a hurry to mark the answer. Okay, that is something which is very, very important. All right. Okay. Now I'm ending this part as well, and you'll be joining me for the last part. Okay, so please be quick, and we'll pause the recording, stop the